We've all been there, sitting at the back of the train, trying to hang on for dear life. Any increase in tempo is surely to put us out the back. But are there tricks to avoid this situation? Of course! These 5 tips will ensure you're able to stick with the team until the finish banner. Whether you're competing in 8-person Thursday TTTs or the 6-person 0L time trials. There's nothing more detrimental to your odds of making it to the end than the climb just ahead. Even if there's a preset rotation, your team needs to be flexible, as there is nothing worse than having the weaker riders pace to the base while the stronger individuals sit on a wheel. I'm sure this has happened to you before, where you finish a long pull only to see the team fly by you as the road kicks. Although your legs are in pain, you must up the watts to maintain contact. Instead, the team is better off having the stronger riders pace a kilometer before the climb starts. This will allow the rest of the team to save energy for the key points. The key climb is just ahead. You are already in the red zone, and boom! You notice 1 or 2 riders begin smashing a high watt per kilogram power as the road kicks. Immediately, gaps begin to open. But what is the solution? Well, a pre-race plan or discussion is critical. As time trials take the time of the 4th placed rider, keeping the team together is required. While some team members may be able to complete the climb quicker, it adds no benefit to cross the KOM banner with multiple gaps. It is pivotal that the climb pace be reasonable for the 4th or 5th strongest rider. These riders should be the ones saying, I think I can hold 4.5 watts per kilogram. Don't let the strongest riders ask at the beginning, is everyone okay with 5 watts per kilogram? Because chances are people won't want to let the team down and just say yes. But in reality, that is probably too high a pace for the good of the team. Finally, I have found the best practice to be letting the middle strength riders lead the bunch. If the strongest rider is pacing, it often results in them unknowingly going too hard. If you've ever been dropped, you know it's not one pull that causes it. Instead, it is a buildup of the high tempo and body fatigue over time. The process typically culminates in the rider getting halfway through and beginning to call for their turns to be skipped. If they still can't match the pace, they get dropped. But is there any point in this process that can be changed? Well, yes. If you know you're not the strongest rider, it is okay to skip turns early on, as opposed to waiting till you're in your red zone. You can start off by being at the back for the first few rotations. After kilometer 5, you can begin making your way through the pace line. Think about it. If your team is targeting 5 watts per kilogram, you can skip your first 3 pulls and let the riders who can easily sustain this tempo pull more. Once the rhythm settles in, you can begin mixing in. By the time you hit the front, your average watts thus far will be much lower, and your heart rate? Well, it will be under control. At the very least, this will extend the time you are able to maintain contact with the group. Each team is comprised of riders with varying abilities, and every team has that one strong rider who surges to the front, blasting a ton of watts. The surge causes pain, and often gaps open, with riders losing the draft and hurting to catch up. This is where pre-race planning is critical. Maybe the strongest rider was being followed by one of the weaker ones. Well, that doesn't make sense. Instead, the team can assign another strong rider to be responsible for closing gaps or holding second wheel. This will make the relatively stronger riders responsible for the bigger efforts, while others enjoy the extra drafting benefit. Later on, the strong riders will be thankful. When we enter a race, we are filled with excitement, thinking our team could win or it could set a new PR. But don't let this trick you into going too hard early on. Have you ever completed your first few pulls, averaging well above your target watts, only to realize a few kilometers later, you're already nearing the red zone? I know I have. The legs feel great, and we think we can take harder or longer pulls. But your body will quickly tell you that you pushed too hard. Instead, target a negative split, where the team progressively picks up the tempo throughout the race. What does this mean for you? Well, if you are supposed to ride 300 watts, maybe turn 1 and 2, you set the tempo at 290 watts. Turn 3 and 4, you increase to 295 watts, and so on. This accomplishes 2 goals. 1, you are still maintaining your average target of 300 watts. And 2, you are controlling your effort. If you start easier, your heart rate will take longer to increase into the red zone. If you don't enter the red zone until the late stage of the race, it will allow you the best chance to cross the banner as a team. One of the highest risk situations for cracking is after you have just completed a pull. You have just completed 30 seconds, riding at 120% of your FTP. Your heart rate is up, and breathing is hard. As you begin drifting to the back, you notice the strongest rider has decided to ride above their target watts. The rest of the group is going all out just to hold the wheel. But oh no, you just don't have the energy to up the watts, and boom, your day is over. This situation can be avoided by practice and pre-race communication. The more your team rides together, the better riders know how much they can push without damaging the team. Make sure the strong riders are smoothly rotating to the front. If you notice spikes in power at the beginning of the race, don't be afraid to speak up. While you may be able to deal with this the first couple times, it will eventually compound the fatigue in your legs until the point you can't stay in touch. Use these 5 tips and you'll be surprised that you are capable of crossing the finish banner as a full squad.